Wet Monday morning in the city of Lagos, Southwest Nigeria. My name is Dablola Ogunshaki. Let's move straight to the front pages of the dailies. I'm starting with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with anxiety in flood-prone states as Cameroon opens Lagdo Dam, says they are taking steps to avert disaster. We are well prepared. That's coming from Lasema. Benue government directs residents to vacate flood plains, evacuate blocked drainages. We won't hesitate to set up IDP camps. That's coming from Delta government. Bielsa asks federal government to come to state rescue. Cameroon asks Neymar to take precautionary measures. We have elected governors. It's left for them to take action. That's coming from Neymar. You can see that story on page 5. And here we have two photo story with the writer that says Shaibu stopped from meeting Obaseki at Edo State at 32. Now on page 19, government effort failing as import rise 122%. Deficit hits 4.9 trillion naira. On pages 11, 12, 13, and 25. 32nd anniversary, Edo, Delta, Bielsa, Osun, Abia count blessings, set future targets. On the sport, Ajagba wins WBC silver heavyweight belt. Stories above on page 8, NBS unemployment report, a fraud, labor employers fume. Supreme Court confirms PSC as body responsible for police recruitment. Oil theft, federal government louds Tantita for pipeline protection. You can see that on page 12. On pages 10 and 8, Serap to Tinubu, reverse ban on Vanguard, Galaxy TV, 23 others from Aso Rock, all. Palliatives, federal government must encourage positive criticisms. That's coming from Edo government. And lastly, on the Vanguard newspaper, at NBA Confab, let's move Nigeria forward, partner for nation building. That's coming from Tinubu and Elumelu. You can see that on page 9. Now let's move to the Punch newspaper. Punch is leading with Cameroon Dam opening, evacuate to prevent deaths. Federal government, state, warn flood-prone communities. NEMA advises governors on evacuation. Nasarawa Taraba set up IDP camps. Others. Anambra orders evacuation in affected areas. Flood sweeps away 2 children. You can see that on pages 2 and 4. And right below that, we have 3 photo stories with the writer that says servicing debt with 90% revenue part to destruction. Tinubu tells NBA. On page 21, banks, 18 others fined 125 million naira for late fee filings. Senators' aid. Murder cases take time to resolve. A police reply family. You can see that on pages 4 and 5. Stories above. Cash shortage. Bank borrowing from CBN eats 12 trillion naira. You can see that on 18. And lastly, on the Punch newspaper, Niger, ECOWAS demands a shorter transition period from junta. You can see that on page 23. Now let's move to the Nation. Nation is living with Tinubu, servicing debt with 90% revenue unsustainable. Good pay for judges will leave judiciary, says president. There's a quote here. It says, can we continue to service external debt with 90% of our revenue? It is a path to destruction. We must make the very difficult changes that are necessary. End of quote. You can see that on page 2. Stock market deals up by 22%. Why we destroyed a vessel laden with stolen crude by Navy. You can see that on page 6 and stories above. We have a family hopeful on suspended EFCC boss Bauer's release. Lastly, on the Nation newspaper, Nigeria loses $4 million daily to oil theft, says the NSA. Now let's move to the Guardian. Guardian is leading with federal government estimate reduces unemployment on paper amid almost 10 million jobs deficit. Stories below on page 3. Article asks Tinubu to come clean on academic fates. You can see that on page 3. And Nigeria still losing 400,000 barrels of crude oil daily, says Ribadu. Stories above. Controversy over relevant or specialized varsities. Lastly, on the Guardian newspaper, Nigeria won't service debt with 90% revenue. Tinubu assures at NBA conference. You can see that on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. And that's all we have on the front pages of the dailies this morning. Join us after the break as our guests will be analyzing the stories. Welcome back. If you're just joining me, this is Today the News on Vanguard Live. I'm Damlola Ogunshaki. Joining me to analyze the front pages of the dailies this morning is Mr. Aliyu Mohammed. He's now the CEO of Magnet Communications, former editor of Daily Times and Concord newspaper. Good morning, Mr. Aliyu.
Morning, Damilola. How was your vacation?
it was it
We
was
both
good.
went on vacation
Yes, and
and
it's nice to
resumed the
have you
same day.
back in the studio. All right, let's move straight to the front pages of the dailies, and we are talking about the flooding, severe
Mm,
flooding that we experience in Nigeria yearly due to the Lagdo Dam. And right now, Lagdo Dam is one Nigerian government. Meanwhile, NEMA is saying that they've won. That's the National Emergency Management Agency. They said they've won the governors that
mm.
they should take the necessary steps. What do you think about this?
Well, just like you said, it's an annual thing. We've always had this kind of situations, but due to the ineptitude of our governments, the resultant effect has been the same flooding that the Cameroonian government warned us against. But now that they have issued another warning and sounded an alarm early enough, I think all the governors of the states that are prone to flooding should please do the needful. It's not about NEMA just giving the warning, it's about NEMA cooperating with the state government to do the right thing. Evacuate the people that are likely to be affected by the opening of the dam and the subsequent flooding in those states. It is something that must happen. But what we need to do is to evacuate people that have ignorantly gone to reside along the flood prone area, evacuate them to safety. So it's not something new, but if we do the needful, we won't have much casualties. If there will be any at all, it won't be much.
Delta State government is saying that they are taking proactive steps to mitigate the effects of flooding in the state.
Mm.
That they will not hesitate to set up IDP camps in the event of any severe flooding. What do you think about this idea of IDP camps?
Damilola, my opinion is that if we have good drainages, we won't have to be running around to set up IDP camps. You go abroad and see the depths of their drainages there, the depths far below the ground, 10, 20 feet. There is no volume of water that will be released from any dam that will pose a threat to the lives of the citizens. In some areas in Lagos, there are no gutters at all. There are no drainages. And yet, government will sit down and ignore the fact that we should have good drainages. All the drainages within the town should have a collector point where all the waters from the drainages will go and easily find its way to different oceans or rivers, as the case may be. But we call ourselves the giant of Africa, and you still see flaws in some of the things we do, things that are likely to take away the lives of the citizens. They are not done well. We should concentrate more on providing good drainages in places where we are repairing roads or erecting new roads. If we have all these things in place, we won't have to be running helter-skelter if any country want to open a dam or two. Because you even go around Lagos, see the depth of the gutters that we have. A lot of them are not even covered. In Houston, Texas, I went there some time ago for a project, and we were precisely recycling projects, and they took us to see how wastewaters have been recycled under a drainage. Eh? Under a drainage. If the place was opened and you need to see how deep it was with machines placed inside those drainages to treat the wastewaters and instantly distribute them for human consumption. But we don't have such a system here. We say we are third world countries, but we have all these things in some third world countries. I don't want to say negative things about Nigeria anymore, because I think we need prayers, a lot of prayers now, instead of negative comments and negative stories. So, but then for this release of water from Cameroon Dam, all the state governors in the states that are likely to be affected should take proactive steps to avoid disasters.
All right, let's move away from that. Organized labor and employers in Nigeria, they rejected reports by NBS that unemployment rate in the country has fallen by 4.1%. They described the report as a fraud. Now, what do you think about that, saying 4.1%? Is it a reality, or should we say it's close to reality?
I don't know the statistics that they used to come to that figure. But if what we are seeing, the volume of unemployed young men and graduates in town, then I wouldn't want to trust those figures. Because you are talking of graduates from over 5 years from different universities in Nigeria. We have a lot of universities, both private and public universities in Nigeria, and so many people can't even get employed. They can't get employed. So I don't know the data that they used for that. I don't know the statistics used to come to that conclusion, but the truth of the matter is that it's not, my own opinion is that it's not about the whether it has reduced or not. Let us feel the impact of this so-called reduction. Let the youths get jobs, not just any job, jobs that will make them live at least moderately. You see a lot of young men going into tailoring. Some of them are into computer repairs. Go to computer village, you see graduates there repairing phones, repairing a lot of things. Yes, that is fine. But you can upgrade their level by ensuring that there are schools that they can go to acquire all these skills, skill acquisition centers for graduates, not for people that will have to start from like school start. No, for graduates, if you can provide jobs, provide skill acquisition centers where they can learn how to trade, learn how to do things on their own and make money. But nobody is doing that, and you keep talking about the unemployment rate going down by a particular figure. It's not felt. People need to feel, if there is a reduction, the economy need to feel it. The people out there that are not getting jobs need to feel it. All Nigerians need to know, but they should sit down and provide practical solutions to the problem of unemployment in Nigeria, not mere hearsay.
But do you think this report will affect the credibility of NBS?
Well, either good or bad, it will. It will definitely affect the NBS, because you see, a lot of people don't believe those figures, and the credibility of NBS is at stake. If you are saying something that people don't even trust, you are saying something that people can't even believe. So when next you come up with figures and facts, even if those facts and figures are true, they will say, no, you are lying. That is the implication.
All right. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he has described as unsustainable servicing the nation's debt with 90% of its revenue. He said it will be reversed. What do you think about his statement?
His statement makes a lot of sense. If you are earning a certain percentage of a certain volume of money and you are using 90% of it to service your debt, well, what are you going to use to pay salaries? What are you going to use to embark on the construction of various amenities? So I support him on that. But more importantly, I think we should broaden the income earning circles of Nigeria, enlarge our income earning system. I am not saying impose taxes. No, there are so many things that can be done. Encourage exportation without hindrances. The present system of approval for Nigerians to export goods is too cumbersome. You have to go through so many government organizations, the Ministry of Trade, Nigerian Export Promotion Council. They will give you so many delays before you can export even groundnut out of Nigeria. The problem we have is that the only product that earns on us dollar in Nigeria is the crude oil. And so many countries are working against the consumption of crude oil by producing electric cars, producing gas cars. You understand? Because of the fast rising prices of crude oil all over the world and the subsequent effect of price increase in the refined products in various countries. So we have to sit down and plan how to expand our export system and make it very convenient for people to export little things out of this country and earn some dollars. In those days, Malaysia used to depend on palm oil from Nigeria. But today, Malaysia is one of the largest palm oil producing countries in the world. So why can't we allow export of palm oil? Because it's still being produced in large quantity in Nigeria. Go to the east, go to Edo State. Palm oil is still being produced in large quantity. Create a system that will allow for easy exportation of this good. Bitter kola nut. So many things are there that people are looking out for abroad. One bitter kola in Johannesburg, where I just came from, is about 50 rands. One pack of it, 50 rands. That's about $3, $4, $5. We shouldn't have that kind of situation when we produce bitter kola in large quantities in Nigeria. So we should allow for easy exportation of those things that are needed abroad and which we have in abundance in Nigeria. You can earn more dollars through that. If you and I have the access to exportation, you are earning dollar, I'm earning dollar, it will reduce the demand for dollars from the central bank, and subsequently our economy will be strengthened. So that's my opinion on that.
All right. Lastly, I want you to quickly talk about this one, and it's about the palliative sharing. Now,
It's already causing trouble.
it's already causing trouble because Nigerians they've expressed
that.
anger over the delay of or in the distribution of the palliative by the state governors. According to them, these products are still in the warehouse.
But you see, we all witnessed what happened during NSAS, that people went to boggle all the warehouses where palliatives were kept. Palliatives that were meant for distribution to the people during the COVID period was kept by various state governments. I thought this would have taught us some lessons that handing over palliatives to state governments would be counterproductive, because I saw a video recently about a situation in some local governments in Kwara State where an area got 5 bags of rice. How will people distribute 5 bags of rice? Where an area where you have more than 500 people, 500 citizens, how would they distribute 5? That is one cup per family. So how is that going to affect the fortunes of the family? This is why I am advocating a more proactive system of alleviating the sufferings that the increase in the price of petroleum products and the subsequent effects on the prices of goods and services and commodities that we all consume should have come in a better way. Because all this sharing of rice, sharing of beans, sharing of it's to me is not effective. There are so many families that will not even have access to it. I am in Lagos, I am in Nigeria. Nobody has called me to come and have any palliative, as if I am not a resident of Nigeria. There are so many people that don't even know that they are sharing palliatives. So, to me, it is something that will not work. It's not going to have any effect. You can say that you release so thousands of bags of rice from the federal government reserve. How many people are feeling it? No. It is wrong. We should devise a system of ensuring that people feel the impact of our programs. For instance, get buses on the road, government-owned buses. Get them on the road, reduce the cost of moving around in government trains, Ikeja to Alagbado. If it was 500 naira, reduce it to 200.
The BRT bus recently.
Lagos State government did that. It's only Lagos State government that have done that, but I have not heard them doing it in Abuja. I have not heard them doing it in Ogun State. I have not heard them doing it in Oyo State. But all this sharing of rice, grains, it will just go in. All those grains will rot in some warehouses because they will be afraid to sell them to the public. And at the end of the day, those who are supposed to benefit from it will not benefit from it. So you sit down and come up with proactive programs. If we were in other climes, some governments would have rolled out a number of buses in different states, bring down the cost of transportation by almost half. Then the commercial buses also would be forced to bring down the prices, their own transportation costs. But if you are not doing that and you say you are giving people rice, it's like throwing huge money in the ocean because you can't feel the impact. You can't feel the impact. So I don't know. They should come up with more proactive policies that will be physically felt by the people.
All right, let's end this on a lighter note with Mr. and Mrs. this morning. And the first person speaking is Mrs. Mrs. says, my friend just came back from Dubai. She brought this pair of shoes for me. It cost just other than 40,000 naira. And Mr. replied, at a time like this, you are just like our lawmakers and bulletproof cars.
That's a big one. At the time Nigeria is suffering, you are buying the shoe of 140,000.
And she just 140,000.
Mr. is right to say he behaves like our lawmakers. You see, if they are abusing our lawmakers today, I think it is a good thing because they gave over 200 million Nigerians, 250 million, I think, and they took how much to settle themselves as soon as the Senate and the House of Reps resumed. That is not. It's not good enough. It's anti-people. I saw 2 million being shared to the accounts of some senators when they were going to on vacation.
I think they said it was prayer point. So it was prayer point.
The prayer point. No, it was not. The Senate president said it on NTA. I will send some token to your account for you to have a good holiday. His attention was called to it that it was being recorded live. We are still not out of the woods yet, but may God save us. They have asked us to continue to pray for Nigeria I wonder what prayer will do here without being proactive, without us being proactive in our policies. So we continue to pray if prayer is all they want.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ali Mohammed, for joining me this morning.
You are most welcome.
Yes, he's now the CEO of Magnets Communication, former editor of Daily Times and Concord newspaper. And this is where we have to draw the curtain. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki. Do well to like and follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Our WhatsApp number is also displayed on your screen.